Hi everybody, it's Anissa. Today I want to go over my 2026 reading goals. And now today is a beautiful sunny day in Southern California and I am recording late February, so we're way past the new year. But I still want to put out there my goals for this year. And why not? I'm just gonna have fun with it. That's the point of the video, so let's just get started. So my first goal is to accomplish reading 24 books this year. Granted, last year I read 18 books and I completed those 18 books having started reading again around May or June. I was out of a reading slump and so I completed 18 books from then on. I definitely think that I can read the 24 books. I could probably read more. I just want to pace myself regardless. I want to not feel like I'm trying to reach a quantity goal. I don't want to feel rushed. Like, I just want to read at my own pace. Specifically, another goal of mine is to be analytical and intentional with all the books that I read. Sometimes I look back at the years where I've read many books in one year or just in general, books that I've read long ago. I remember the overall plot, but sometimes I don't remember specific details or specific scenes in a book, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. So I also want to start journaling all of my reads this year, which is why I got this book. And, to go back to the quantity, I might read more than 24 books, but I don't want to put a tall goal that by the end of the year, if I feel like I'm away from the goal, that I have to rush through reading a certain selection of books just so that I could meet that goal. I just want to be realistic, like two books per month, or even though it might be more, it might be less. I just want to be realistic for the year and for the other goals that I have for myself this year too. So my reading journal, it's brand new. I've never journaled my reading before. I've never journaled the books that I've completed essentially, and so I really like this little reading journal. I did get it on Amazon. It was the quickest and cheapest journal I could find, but after this year I feel like this is going to give me a good example of or good experience of what I would like my journals to look like for my reading logs. This one essentially has, like, obviously the titles, author, details like genre, number of pages, when it was published, and who recommended it, my start date and finish date. I get to specify if it was a hard book, ebook, or audiobook, and then there's a section for thoughts and quotes, and a star rating in the bottom, as well as if I would recommend this book. And I'm just going to start basic from there. There's other pages from here, like this. Let me see if I could find this. This little page is a reading challenge page. It says to keep track of how many books you've read, color in the book on the shelf after you finish reading it, and add its title. And I think that's just like a fun little creative thing to do. So we shall see at the end of this year how far into this book I get, and maybe next year I'll create something different and more personal to myself, and I'll hand make the book and maybe get a leather binding, things like that. Another point to me having the reading journal is for it to encourage me to annotate my books a little bit better and highlight quotes. And I think that after each book that I've completed on my reading journal, I'm gonna put one quote that I feel encompasses the novel most for me. And little differences like that in my reading habits, I think it's going to help me remember the book better even years to come, and I'll be able to have something with me I can look back on years from now and remember, oh yeah, I did read this book. If someone says like, oh, I've read this book and then I've read it too, I can look back on it and have this journal. So I'm actually really appreciative of me deciding to do something like this. Another goal of mine is I want to be utilizing my library resources a lot more. I don't really want to buy books. I've mentioned that in another video, and I will buy books if it's a series I'm already in the middle of and I already have on this bookshelf, or maybe if it's one of my favorite authors. But even then, I really want to do my best in just utilizing my library resources, whether that's through the Libby app or going physically to the library. I intend on being frugal with my money this year. That is personally just a goal of mine. Also, I know there's a lot of people that love having a library of books, and I would love to have that too. But besides me trying to be more conservative of how I spend my money, I'm not so sure if I always like having a lot of stuff. And I know owning books and having them physically with you forever is like a different sentimental feeling, but it's just not something that I'm ready to do right now. I just don't want to spend money on books at all, which sounds like I maybe am not supporting the industry. It's just not what I can do right now. I just want to encourage people to utilize the library, because maybe there's other people like myself who just don't want to spend money on books right now. They want to spend the money on other things, save for other things, and using the library can be really easy. And even though I am a mood reader, I still get to satisfy my reading moods through the library. I don't ever feel like I am being forced to read something that I don't want to read right now. And if I don't want to read it, I could just suspend it. I can get it when I am ready to read it, and get to the next book. And maybe it's because I have so many books on the Libby app, but that's why I feel pretty comfortable that I still feel like I have choice, even though I don't like use the Kindle Unlimited, and I don't look through this catalog of books and like, oh no, I'll read that book right now. Oh, I'll read that book instead. I sort of just have this line of books on Libby, and it'll tell me whether it's available in a couple of weeks, couple of days, available soon. You know how it works if you use Libby. So I still feel like I have choice with the library resources, ultimately. Yeah. Another major goal of mine is I want to focus on translated fiction this year. I just feel I feel like when you read fiction or books from other parts of the world, it broadens your empathy, it widens your empathy, it puts into perspective of other people's life experiences, and it's like a beautiful way of traveling if you can't travel as often as you like. I love traveling first and foremost. I traveled internationally for the first time last year, and it was amazing. Traveling just reminded me how my little world is not the center of the universe, and I think reading translated fiction can have that same effect, which is so important, especially nowadays. It's so important to be empathetic and to recognize that other people live differently, and that's okay, have different opinions, have different perspectives, and yes, like that is okay, but we should learn from each other. And if we can engage in a dialogue from different parts of the world, we might be able to reach a middle ground, or find that we are alike in many core ways, but we express it differently. And I think the expression is the beautiful part. I think I'm going to gain a lot by reading translated fiction, and I might be able to discover different genres and different styles of writing that's going to be interesting and outside of my norm. And I love discovery, so I'm just really excited about diving deep into translated fiction. Another reading goal of mine this year is to read a book in Spanish, coming off of translated fiction. But I want to read a book in Spanish, originally written in Spanish. I think that the Spanish language is beautiful. it is a language that I know. I don't know it as well as I would like, so I want to get to the point where I can read a book in Spanish, and after some studying, that is my goal by the end of this year. And it really doesn't matter the genre, I just want to read a book in Spanish. Now, I am also Christian. I lean more to Catholicism. I was raised Catholic, and I kind of got out of the faith, which I'm not going to get into today, but I recently rediscovered my faith in God, in Jesus Christ, about like a year and a half ago, and I started reading the Bible. So my goal this year is to finish having read the Bible front to back, which is how I started. I started reading the book of Genesis, and I'm reading front to back currently. I am on the book of Judges, and I'm taking a pause on reading the book of Judges because we're in the middle of Lent, and I want to learn a little bit more about Jesus Christ, especially during this time and season. So I'm currently reading the book of John, the Gospel John, and I love studying the Bible. It's one of the most peaceful times that I have for myself. It has definitely helped me understand God, and it has fostered a relationship with God. And it's something I can go over maybe another time, but reading the Bible is one of my goals. So this is my Bible, and it is a Christian Standard Bible. There are many different versions. The versions go from a spectrum of word for word, thought for thought, and translations is what I mean. So the Christian Standard Bible is supposed to be somewhere in the middle between word for word and thought for thought. And I chose this version because I felt like it was the best for me to understand in a English that is not so lyrical as, for example, the King James Version. But after reading or going through this Bible, I want to read the Catholic Bible later in time because it has the Apocrypha, or basically I want to read the Apocrypha. But again, we can talk about that on another day. And specifically what I love about this Bible, or whenever I read the Bible, I always take notes. I'm always diving deep. I'm studying. I am reading through other commentary. I'm doing my research so that I can try to understand the word as best as I can. But this Bible has notes on the side, or a place for you to be able to write notes. And so I really love that. And when I write notes, like, let's see, I can write a lot of notes. I tend to be really thorough for myself. So yeah, reading the Bible is really important to me, and that is one of my goals this year, to complete the Bible. And I'm the type of person that's going to read it front to back right now, and maybe after I've completed this round, my next round will be a specific reading plan, but that's my goal. And at the same time, I don't want to rush through the Bible. If I don't complete it by the end of this year, I won't be upset. I find my time reading it to be super valuable, and I gain a lot of wisdom. So I never want to rush anything that God wants to speak to me. And yeah, though I think I say I want to complete the Bible this year, because in reality what I'm telling myself, or what I'm saying out loud, is I want to be obedient and be disciplined and be consistent with reading my Bible. And if I'm consistent throughout the year, I will likely complete the Bible by the end of the year. Okay, now back to other types of books besides the Bible. I also want to complete reading a nonfiction this year, and I want to annotate it. I don't ever really read nonfiction, which isn't good, but this year my goal is to complete at least one nonfiction and see what I learned from it at the end of it by also noting it down in my new reading journal. Well, those are all my reading goals for 2026. Now, I'm just going to quickly run down a couple of the books that I have on my list for this year. And if you have read any books of this list, or if you also have this book on your list, let me know and leave a comment down below. The first book is The Catechism of the Catholic Church, which is a work that summarizes the Catholic Church's doctrine. The next book is Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy, Martyr by Kaveh Akbar, Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman, The Enlightenment of the Greengage Tree by Shukafe Azar, and I am sorry if I completely butchered that name. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakraborty. Again, I am very sorry if I butchered that name. And last, Open Veins of Latin America by Eduardo Galeano. Those are some of the books that I really want to read this year. Hopefully I get to them. A lot of them I already have available on the Libby app that I suspended, but we'll see in what order I get to them, and I will likely leave reviews for them. But please let me know what your reading goals are of 2026, if any of the books that I just listed are also on your list. And yeah, I hope everybody has a nice day, and yeah, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.